Well, it's about that time of year again. Lovely hurricane season. I predicted the El Nino would take place and we would not have an El Nina. Unfortunately, that has come to light. Some people say, well, that's a good thing because that means there's going to be more shear out on the African coast, which would help eliminate storms that would affect Florida, east and west. Well, when we look at the mundane astrology, the strongest impact zone is the Tampa Bay region, which covers Clearwater, Tampa itself, and St. Petersburg. You want to stretch that circle out a little bit. Then it covers the Big Bend all the way down to the areas circled in the yellow, which is Manatee County, Sarasota, Port Charlotte, Fort Myers, Naples. Now, it's not going to be just this area that's affected. It's going to be other areas such as New Orleans and parts of Texas could possibly feel this because they are highlighted. But we need to look at the strongest impact zone. Those lines run right through Tampa Bay. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it before, but it's not alarming because sometimes the lines are slightly off correctly. So we look at the moon, which is afflicted by Mars and Rahu. That brings in extreme water, floods, storm surge. Then you have that ugly Mars in watery sign causing destruction to coastal areas, infrastructure, and fire. And this really stands out to me because you have electrical damage. Then we have Rahu influencing fourth house. That's all about land, homeland. And it brings in unusual weather, sudden intensification, which means this bad boy may be a Cat 2, for example, over the waters, or even a 3, but by the time it makes landfall, it could jump up to a 4. However, I'm not going to predict the category of this hurricane. Saturn's aspect. This is long-lasting damage, delays in recovery, and power outages. Jupiter in Dashanta, economic loss, impact on ports, trade, fuel, and coastal industries. Then we have the Mercury afflicted. Of course, Mercury represents communication, breakdown, media coverage, warnings, alerts. So my conclusion, the majority of Vedic planetary signatures strongly indicate the west central Florida Gulf Coast, with the Tampa Bay region showing the most intense activation for hurricane impact. However, it may not be the only area, and most likely because we are having a major El Nino, per se. People call it super, I call it major. This is going to bring storms all over the United States. Technically, we could say all over the world. We also do have secondary impact zone circled in yellow. That covers southwest Florida coast, which would be Sarasota, Fort Myers, Naples area, which would indicate possibly moderate to high impact indicated. However, the main areas that we need to look at are the Tampa Bay region, and I'd even go a little north, Big Bend area. Now, the window time for this, the strongest activation would be from August 28th through September 14th, 2026, especially around new moon and full moon periods. However, that's just a time frame. It doesn't mean it has to be exactly on that date, nor the area that is circled, because these storms do move, but we're looking at it through the eyes of mundane astrology. Honestly, I would not be surprised if these storms come later more than early. The activation through the nakshatras are water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. So that's an extra layer on top of what we already have. So the overall Vedic outlook here, Vedic in the mundane, is a powerful cyclone with water dominance. So basically, hurricanes bring in wind. Yes, they bring in water. They bring in lightning and all these crazy things. But this particular hurricane, from what I'm seeing, is going to be dominated by the water. Storm surge, flooding, and infrastructure damage could be very likely in the highlighted zone. Again, this is not precise. This is solely what the astrology is pointing. And there's going to be other areas in the Gulf, I do believe, that are going to be affected by storms, and the East Coast, throughout the United States, Europe, UK, because of this super El Nino. Australia, Asia, all over the world. Not one specific place will not be bothered. Something is going to be touched in these areas. But we're talking about Florida, and I really hope that this does not displace me again. Love and light.